welcome. We are back, and I get to talk to this amazing Jessica. She is an educator, Jessica Gardner, also author and a content creator. Would you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Hi, I'm Jessica Gardner. I currently run Essentially Blessed Jessica Education. I am also a teacher in schools and author on the side. And I also make money from social media because teachers don't have have a lot of energy to do multiple things at the same time.
Nice, nice. I love that. Well, would you share a little bit with us how your journey has been as a woman entrepreneur? I know you do education and then the Essentially Blessed, and then as an author as well. How did that all come about?
I would say I've been doing entrepreneur stuff for many years. I originally started selling oils is originally how I started out doing entrepreneurship. And then eventually I stepped away from selling that, and me and my husband decided to invest in an Amazon store. And we ran that for a good year and then decided that was the best for us. And we just decided to step away from that because we did not feel it was right. And the way I found out what I was doing now was the right thing was I left a school that did not support my needs and support my mental health. And so I left that school, and it was already very tense leaving that school. And so the last couple weeks when I was decompressing, I started writing because there was so many feelings I had leaving that school and those kids that I could get it into writing better than I could explaining it to people. And I started writing and illustrating my two children's books, which are now being used in schools today, which I didn't think would happen so quickly, but it did. And it just felt, I prayed one day and then God said, "You're doing the right thing and keep pursuing this." And I was like, okay, we're going to do it.
That's amazing. I love that. And I find a lot of people say sometimes some of the most difficult seasons in life have produced some of the most beautiful things and unexpected things that wouldn't be.
Mhm.
That is really, really cool. Okay, so along your journey as an entrepreneur, what would you say are two or three of your biggest challenges, and how did you kind of work through those or overcome those?
I would say my biggest challenge has always been timing because, like, I love time blocking, and time blocking is like one of the best things ever, but it's also like you have to constantly look at your calendar and you can't really turn your brain off, which is why I like when we go travel on short weekends because it's like I'm not in my normal vicinity, so therefore I can't be in my look at my calendar all the time. I can actually turn my brain off and relax, and that's I've always had a hard time relaxing even as a teacher. It's just when you do so many things throughout the day, it's like you have to keep doing it until you stop or break. And that has really helped. Another thing that has been challenging has always been networking to me. And networking, I'm such an introvert. I like to connect over the internet 1,000 times more than I do connecting in person. Um, but I've recently started connecting in person to some local people as well. I'm hoping with some local networking that I'm doing, I can get my books in stores soon, probably within the next couple of years. Um, trying to figure that all out. So
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So through some of those challenges, was there any like little pieces of wisdom or scriptures or anything in particular that really encouraged you or helped you?
so I would say probably one of my biggest life challenges that I've had to overcome is when I had a major surgery now 3 years ago today, or almost 3 years. I almost lost my life and my whole entire family, and I were not prepared at all. We were not expecting it to be. It was a big life shock, and during that time when I was recovering and figuring out life and adjusting to the life that I was given, and it kind of makes you really think, like, when you get so close to, like, I would hate to say it, but, like, dying in general, like, you just look at it very different than other people who haven't come that close, and it feels like God's saying you're meant here, you're meant to do it for a purpose, and, like, one of my favorite verses is, what is it? Romans 8:28 and Psalm 139 are one of my 2 favorite verses that I always talk about because those 2 verses, and despite all my medical complexities and whatever I've gone through, those have always stuck out throughout my challenging times.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, the 828 for he works all things together for the good of those that love him. Yeah, that's a good one. There's so many good ones. Yeah, and Psalm I mean the Psalms, so powerful. I love that. Awesome. Okay, so if you were talking to someone that wanted to be an author and a writer like you are and do what you do, what would be a couple of pieces of advice that you would give?
That's a good question. I would say be prepared for people to have judgment on your work. As we live in a world where everything we do, whether it's social selling, whether it's just your normal life in general, what your family and family dynamics are, like some people base you off what they see you as your first impression. And yes, I know some people don't like my work. I'm very okay with that. It is what it is. It's not meant for them. It's not meant for the older group. It's meant for children. And unfortunately, with the way with the students that I teach, my students are already getting judged on a daily basis. I'm living in as an adult who has a specified learning disorder and also has to still live with judgment every day from people who don't think they can achieve things when I've had to overcome, and I haven't gotten to this point as an educator, an author, and a content creator where I'm now getting paid to write, where I can get paid to write my own stuff, I can get paid for my content, and I can get paid to help students achieve what they don't think they can because that's what our world is telling them.
It's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And, to see that come kind of full circle from you, being the kid that needed that support, right? And that encouragement and everything to now being able to empower them. That's so huge. That's
Mhm.
one of the things I don't think I've really shared this story a lot, but when I was a kid, that I had some challenges as well with the ADD and the dyslexia and everything. And it was very unexpected that later on, as I grew up, I realized I had, like, in the back of my mind, I still had some of those words that, teachers had said and things when I, was having a hard time. And it really matters. It really impacted my functioning. It impacted my own, like limiting self beliefs and things like that. Um, Even just underlying frustration, at myself, anger at myself because I thought I should be able to do X, Y, and Z that, normal, quote unquote normal kids could do. And over the years I realized like, wow, that has such a big impact on me, even in like kindergarten with how
Mhm.
I was treated, unfortunately, I had a teacher that just had absolutely no clue about how all of that works with, if there's a kid talking next to you and the teacher asks you a question, you might not hear the question. You might ask for the question to be, repeated, right? And I had, unfortunately, not a great experience, but it's so amazing that now we have people like you that can make a positive impact for those kids. So tell me a little bit. I haven't had a chance to like read all of your books yet. Give us a little preview of what your books are about for those that might, maybe work in education that could use them, or for their kids, that might really appreciate the book. So you give us a little summary.
So my first book is the alphabet book, and the alphabet book is to help with reading and literacy work because as educators nowadays, we have found that students are having a hard time reading because during COVID time, most kindergartners are not staying with the computer with their teacher trying to learn. So there's a big achievement gap that's going on. And with special education that I do, students need more than the average student of having items and resources to learn those things. And the Alpha Book was created for a student at my old school that didn't have those resources, and you can go through and learn the alphabet. There's pictures to go along with it and short sentences. And for educators, you can use it in various ways to learn the ABCs. You can also read it as bedtime stories. And now, my second book, Learning How to Control My Emotions, is also a book you can use in school or out of school because it helps with knowing the boundaries of their social and emotional regulation, of what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, which we have found in schools that kids are struggling with due to the achievement gap and the COVID pandemic. That I want to help bridge that gap. And whether it's in or out of school, you can do so much more than you think to provide educational resources for your kids. And I'm working on my editing my third book, which is about um, two dogs becoming best friends and protecting their farm. It's called Willow and Rexy Best Friends.
Nice.
So I'm working on editing that shortly, and that will be released soon. Is this book will also help with learning how to become best friends, how do we act appropriately with our friends, and it's just this one will probably be a series of books soon, is my idea of it, but this is the first of the series, and I'm excited to release more books.
Yay! Awesome. Thank you. I mean, yeah, that's so, so important, especially your first two books are such huge, important areas that kids need support. So that's incredible. I'm so glad that you have made those. And if everyone wants to connect with you, it would be your Facebook page, you said, right? And that's the
Yes.
essentially Blessed Jessica Education. Is that right? Okay.
Yep, on Facebook.
Okay. Perfect. And yeah, so make sure you connect with her. Make sure you check out her books, get them as gifts for your kids, your nieces, your nephews, your grandkids, all the things, right? Awesome. Okay, well, thank
Yep.
you so much for your time, and we'll talk soon.